Hello, humanities students. So you guys are going to be finishing up the second half of part 3, Burning Bright. We're going to be picking up with Montag trying to escape the city. This is right where we left off with the first half of part 3. So we're going to start, we left off with this really tense and suspenseful chase scene where Montag is struggling to escape, both literally and metaphorically. So remember, literally, he's struggling to escape the city because he is now a wanted fugitive. We started in part 3 with Beatty taking Montag to his house because it's been discovered that he's harboring books and he has to burn his house, and then Beatty tells him he's under arrest, at which Montag turns the flamethrower on Beatty himself and burns him in his literal struggle to escape, to get free, to not be arrested and taken in by the authorities. He's then attacked by the mechanical hound, at which point the hound is able to just graze his leg and partially paralyze him on the one side. But he turns the flamethrower on the hound and he's able to also destroy the hound. So the authorities are onto him. He's this wanted fugitive. The authorities are searching for him, and they've called in a new mechanical hound from another precinct. But he's got a little bit of breathing room, right? Because they're waiting on this new mechanical hound to come in, and they don't know where he is. So he runs to Faber's house, and they come up with a plan for him to try and get out of the city. So literally, he's struggling to escape. But this is also metaphorical, and this is really what we're going to be focusing on the second half of part 3 is a lot of really great symbols coming to fruition here. So metaphorically, Montag is struggling to escape because we've seen, especially starting to develop in part 2, that the city, his society, has become like a prison for him, and that it is a false reality. So remember, at the beginning of part 3, Beatty compares Montag to Icarus, this great allusion that Bradbury is using there to suggest that Montag, just like Icarus in the story of Icarus and Daedalus, is imprisoned, and he's trying to break free from this imprisonment. And we've also seen, especially in part 2, that Montag lives in this false reality, that a lot of these people in this society are living in a false reality, that he's in this marriage that is empty. He and his wife don't even remember where they first met. They don't actually have true feelings for each other. She talks about her family, but she's not talking about Montag. She's talking about the characters on the TV. So this society is a prison for Montag, and it's a false reality for him, and he's trying to break free from it. We really see this at the very end of the reading that you did, right here. He imagined thousands on thousands of faces peering into yards, into alleys, and into the sky. Faces hid by curtains, pale, night-frightened faces, like gray animals peering from electric caves. Faces with gray, colorless eyes, gray tongues, and gray thoughts looking out through the numb flesh of the face. So again, literally, Montag's trying to escape here. The authorities are looking for him, and in this great sort of circus show that they're creating, they have instructed everyone to come out of their homes at the same time so they can try and spot Montag. And as these people all come out, they're described as being gray. Over and over, Bradbury repeats this word gray. We talked in one of our last videos about how this represents how lifeless they are and how they're just blah when you think of that color gray. It also symbolizes their lack of identity, their lack of individuality, and their lack of humanity. He talks about how they're like gray animals. And why is it that these people lack identity, individuality, and humanity? because they're all stuck in these electric caves. Let's talk here about these electric caves. So this reminds us, earlier in the novel, Montag said maybe the books can get us half out of the cave. And this cave here was an example of an allusion. Remember, Bradbury with the cave was alluding to Plato's allegory of the cave. This great story from ancient Greek culture about these prisoners who've spent their entire lives chained up in a cave. However, they don't realize that they're prisoners because this is all they've ever known. And they see these shadows on the wall and they hear these echoes of sound, but they believe that the shadows are the real thing. They believe the echoes are real sounds. They don't realize that these are simply distortions of reality. And so they've been living in this false reality. And in this case, the cave here symbolizes and is their prison and their false reality. So just like Montag trying to escape the city with all of these people represents a prison and a false reality. And what is creating this cave, this false reality, this prison? Well, Bradbury says that they're peering from the electric caves. In a lot of ways, it's being created by the technology, by the censorship, by the government and the firemen and the false history that they've been taught. And so this is what Montag is trying to break free from. And we talked before about how this is a great example of perversion of nature, because typically caves are something that we associate with nature, and they can be something really beautiful, but caves can also have a negative association. They can also have some negative connotations. When we think of caves, we also think of something dark. We think of something scary. We think of something maybe dangerous, right? Where an animal might live. We think of maybe being trapped, right? Like going exploring in a cave and getting turned around and stuck, of being claustrophobic, of being trapped within the earth. And so this cave here that's being described with all these gray, colorless people, like animals peering from, really shows us that this society is living in a false reality, a prison of ignorance, where they lack knowledge, where they're in the dark. And this is what Montag is trying to break free of. And this is what we see when Bradbury tells us, but he was at the river. And the river here, as we talked about before, is this great symbol and is this connection to nature, true nature. And it's something that's real. So we're going to see that once Montag gets into the river, once he breaks free from his society, it's as if he's breaking free from a prison. It's as if he's breaking free from a false reality. And in doing so, he's finally able to put into practice those three things that Faber has said are missing in society. He's finally able to take this quality information that he gained by reading some of those books. He's finally given leisure time while he's in this river and while he's in nature to really think for himself for the first time. And he's able to start acting on the interaction of those things. And so we're going to see moving forward that he has some really important revelations. And remember, this is a part of the hero's journey, right? Where the hero has a revelation, gains some new knowledge, undergoes a process by which they are enlightened. They gain truth. They learn something startling and surprising and really important, and this transforms them. This helps them to become better. And we're really going to see this happen at the end of part 3.